This morning, we're spotlighting the mysterious death of a pastor's wife. There's a hearing set for next month to decide who is entitled to items that law enforcement seized while looking into beautiful Mica Miller's death. Investigators have not accused her widower, John Paul Miller, of any wrongdoing, so I want to make that clear. We will say, though, that the FBI has put out there that they are conducting a parallel investigation in the case, but not investigating Miller's death. Now, Court TV has contacted John Paul Miller's new attorney for comment, but we have not yet heard back. This morning on the show, we have two very special guests we want to bring on to talk about Mica, two people that know Mica very well when she was alive and who are certainly grieving and interested in any information that can come from this investigation now that she's gone. I want to welcome them in now. Alicia Young and Kyler Marlowe, welcome to the program. I just want to start by saying thank you for coming on. Thank you for sharing information about your friend, and I am so deeply sorry for your loss. Just on a person-to-person human level, I'm very sorry, and I know this isn't easy. Could we start with the FBI parallel investigation? Because I know that's what I probably see the most comments about with people all over the world who were just devastated to hear of Mica's death. So let me start with you, please, Alicia. What, if anything, have you come to learn about this parallel investigation?
I'm actually going to let Kyler answer that question, if that's okay.
Sure, absolutely. Yes, please. Go ahead, Kyler.
So, hi, thanks for having us today. You know, from my understanding, I have heard that they are investigating the church and the church assets and JP Miller's assets. That's about as far as my knowledge goes, because typically when the FBI is involved, they don't really comment on details of an investigation, and I think for good reason, because, you know, you would never want to tip anyone off too much, and this is a very, like, social media-led world these days, but
exactly.
I do have to say that I'm a little disappointed that they're not investigating her death, and I hope that they do eventually, but as of right now, it's just us, and, you know, I'm actually assisting a private investigator at this time to look into her death as well, and I don't think that's been made public as of yet, but we're uncovering more and more every day, and I'm really grateful for everyone's assistance, and Alicia has been very helpful with that as well.
Right. I wanted to ask you about that, please, Kyler. What is it about your friend Mica's death that has you so suspicious?
So, you know, and I've been really transparent about this from the start on TikTok and Facebook and everything. I hadn't spoken to Mica in a very long time, but we were friends in middle school when she first moved to the beach. And I think that the circumstances surrounding her abuse are what has really gotten me so fired up about this case, because I do not have personal experience with all of the abuse that she endured, but I have experience with, you know, mistreatment from churches, and I have loved ones that are very close to me that have experienced abuse like this, and, you know, some of them are unfortunately not here anymore to tell their story, and, you know, I've been over and over it in my head for weeks now, like, why am I doing this? You know, why am I so adamant about finding out what happened, and ultimately I just feel like it's something I'm supposed to do, and I don't really have a concrete answer for it, but I feel like it's something that God has really put on my heart, and the private investigator would say the same. It's just something that has to be brought to light, and, you know, whether or not she did do this to herself, I think we're more focused now on, you know, why the trigger was pulled and not who pulled it exactly. Because
sure, was she coerced?
Ultimately,
is the question,
I feel
right?
like
right. That's what you're wondering,
right? I feel like,
was there any inducement? Right. I think that is a very valid question, and I know that folks all over the world want an answer to that. Kyler, that's great that you're working with the PI to help uncover any more information. I want to play a clip for you both. And Alicia, I'd like to come to you on the other side of this. This is from an interview that we at Court TV did with the attorney who was representing Mica. We know that she was trying to separate herself from her husband. And this attorney, she didn't pull any punches, talking about this guy, talking about brainwashing and abusive treatment. Let's take a listen to some of what she told us.
Dutiful as a wife and abiding in terms of what she understood that God required of her as a wife, and especially the wife of a pastor. She was so brainwashed. He had been, I guess, quote, training her for a long time, and that how a wife is supposed to respond even to an abusive husband. There is a sermon that he gave. It was a series that he was doing, and this one, I want to say it was number 14, and it was called Discontentment. And in that sermon, about 2/3 the way through it, he talks about how that God says that it's a wife's duty to provide intimacy to the husband. That's her duty. And anytime he asks for it, you better be complying. And, you know, if you don't do what Jesus says to do, then you're sinning.
Yeah, this attorney shared a lot about abusive treatment, that Mica was being administered testosterone injections by her husband because he wanted to do this. She was very vocal about the brainwashing, abuse, painting a picture of terrible abuse. Alicia, when you hear about this, what does it make you think? Does it make you go back to anything that was a red flag while she was alive? Talk to me your thoughts when you hear this information now.
It does. So back in 2019, when we were there, and the dinners that we would have with them, excuse me, we would see some things in the way he talked to her. If he didn't like what she had to say, or even just a comment that she made, even if it wasn't directed towards him, he would stop her. He would make her be quiet. He would, you know, say, why are you talking about that? He would just immediately shut her down, and the light would go out of her eyes, and she would keep quiet for the rest of the time. I absolutely believe that he was using religious abuse to brainwash her and tell her, you know, these things, because that was the culture of the church. Even when we were there, we're going to celebrate the men, but we're going to degrade the women. And if these women don't fall in line with, you know, how we're supposed to act, or, you know, what he claims the word of God is, then it's our fault if a man steps out on the marriage, and, you know, basically women are just to be seen and not heard, and to have sex with their husbands whenever they feel like it, because, you know, according to John Paul, that's what God says. And that's absolutely wrong.
Right. Oh, it is. There's a lot wrong, absolutely, with what's being said here. And I want to play a clip of something that he said to his congregation after Mica's death. Let's watch and look at his words carefully.
I got a call late last night. My wife has passed away. And yeah, it was self-induced, and it was up in North Carolina. And we're going to have a funeral for her next Sunday here at 3 p.m. And so it's all I can, yeah, I'm just kind of going on adrenaline right now. So y'all pray for me and my kids and everybody. And she wasn't, y'all knew that she wasn't well mentally, and that she needed her medicine that was hard to get to her. And so I'm sure there'll be more details to come, but just keep our family in your prayers.
Sure, you both have a lot of thoughts on that. Alicia, I want to go back to you. You know, he points to her mental health struggles. You know, and I know everybody grieves differently. He doesn't look too busted up, let's just say that. Everybody grieves differently. He's certainly not able to speak, and the fact that he injected what could be perceived as blame here. I know has a lot of people riled up watching this who had a lot of disgust for the way he handled that. Alicia, somebody who was friends with Mica, you know, you and Kyler, you loved her. You loved her. She's your friend. You're both advocating for her now. Alicia, when you hear this, did that leave a bad taste in your mouth, just as it did for many others who didn't know Mica?
It absolutely did. And because who has a funeral already planned within less than 24 hours for the following week? He was even using the mental health narrative back in 2019. My husband had went to lunch with him and Mica to discuss worship team ideas. And after the meeting, John Paul calls my husband and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry about Mica. She has mental health issues. She's, you know, not finding the right medication." So he was even using that back then.
And you know what I would love to know? I would love to know if Mica was mentally healthy until she met him. That's what I would love to know. I would love to know if the mental health struggles were because of narcissistic abuse. We don't know, but I would love to hear from a professional. Would love if there are already mental health records for treatment, if they could be revealed, because I think it would be very telling if he had anything to do. And I'm not saying he did, we don't know, but it's certainly a very valid question, because you see this happy, beautiful young woman, and then what happened is just stunning. Something doesn't add up. We have to leave it here for now, but big thanks to you both, Alicia and Kyler. Thank you kindly for coming on the show and sharing. Please come back again soon. Keep us apprised of any new developments.